Hello everyone, welcome back to our speedrun series, and we have another game here with black pieces, again going into our modern defense with the move bishop to g7, pawn to c3. I don't think this one is particularly dangerous system. I think the idea is white's just going to play the move knight f3 and set up a pretty solid structure. Here we can play the move knight f6, pawn to f3. Yeah, this is a little bit strange because normally if you play c3 you don't play f3. Yeah. Okay, we just castle. And we play the normal stuff. I mean, we can try to hit out in the center. So either go for c5 or e5 here. I think we can just play e5 straight away if we want to. We can also play a6, b5, and then try to play for c5 later on. We could play knight c6 and go for some sort of King's Indian type of position. Knight d7 also possible. Okay, let's go knight d7. Seems like the most flexible move here. Okay, so our opponent goes immediately for the kingside attack. So we should immediately go for the counter in the center with the move pawn to e5. Okay, our opponent doesn't seem to care. He's just attacking us on the king side. Okay, we want to blow open the center as much as we possibly can here. So I'm looking at the move pawn to d5 to just open up the center. I don't even care so much if I have to sacrifice a pawn in order to do this. There is also pawn takes, and maybe play c5 to open up the center, but I'm just going to open the center immediately with the move pawn to d5. I think this is the correct way to respond. Since our opponent hasn't really developed many pieces, he's wasted a few pawn moves and started pushing the rest of his pawns. So we open the position as much as we can, so we will capture the pawn here. Now I suppose we can have a few moves. We have knight to d5 as a move. We could also capture here. I'm looking for ways where I can capture to create some weaknesses for my opponent. I think this is probably best. I might get a free tempo on the bishop this way. I also have f5 attacking the bishop, which is also very interesting. I don't want to take here just yet, because if I take there, bishop takes. I want him to take back with the pawn at least, so then he ends up with a weak pawn on d4. But I think I will start with this move because it gains a tempo by attacking the bishop. He shouldn't allow us to take the bishop here, so he'll have to waste a move moving the bishop back. Or not. Is there some tactic here for black? See if you can spot a tactic here for black, which may or may not win some material. So I'm looking at this particular move, bishop takes g4. I think it works. Bishop takes g4. Pawn takes, we capture this bishop on e4. Okay, instead he moves the queen. I'll just take the bishop. Could have also moved my bishop to h5, but I think this is fine. And I suppose we play f5. Normal move. White can't castle here. We have the bishop pair and we have extra material here. So well. So it should be winning here for black. Now we can recapture with any of the pieces, I believe, but normally what you want to do is recapture with the pawn in many of these King's Indian positions. So if you can recapture with the pawn, I would recapture with the pawn here. I think it's quite good. Okay, queen being attacked, so move the queen. Now I want to start marching these pawns up the board. So f4, f3. Let's start with f4. I like this move a lot because it threatens to move pawn to h6, also cuts retreat squares from the bishop. So we have some ideas to trap the bishop now. Also we have some ideas of playing the move pawn to e4, queen takes, rook e8, and getting some attack along this e file. I think that's a free piece. So he's losing the piece now, but we do have to be careful of some tricks he might have here. Now, can I take the bishop? The answer is probably yes. I just have to be careful. I don't see anything, but we do have to watch out for some ideas. Queen h7. So let's offer a queen trade. Next I might capture his knight, trade off more pieces. I'm just gonna capture this knight. Also attacks the queen, so he doesn't have to move pawn to d6. And then I would start running this pawn up the board. Pawn to f3. The problem is he doesn't have any good squares for the queen. So the queen comes back to any of these squares. I have queen f4 check, forcing a queen trade. So he goes to that square instead. Maybe I start running the second pawn. He can't get queen h4. Yes, I don't exactly see what he does. I'm just gonna push this one. Try to get in the move. Pawn to e3. I mean, I could just play e3, queen takes, and then play queen f4 and force a trade of queens. Might do that actually. I could even go rook e8 first. Let's go rook e8 first. And rook can come to e2, and we have queen c2. Checkmate. Okay, so now we have to move rook to e2 and queen c2 coming up. Now the problem with that game for white was that he played the move pawn to c3 and then he played the move pawn to f3 and didn't develop any pieces. So after c3 I think it's better to play the move knight to f3 or knight to e2 here just to get some pieces developed. But instead of the move pawn to f3, this is a very strange configuration of pieces, because now this pawn on c3 doesn't really fit well with the plan. But anyway, white goes for the attack. So the best way to respond to this sort of flank attack is, of course, to look at responses in the center. So here, this is why we play the move pawn to e5. And after the move pawn to h4, again, we're looking for ways to open up the center. This is very, very important. So when you're responding to this sort of attack, then if the center is not yet closed or semi-open and the king is still stuck in the center, then you want to look for ways to blow the center open as much as possible. Hence, I found this move pawn to d5 pretty quickly. The idea is that, I mean, even if he, let's say, wins a pawn with this and tries to take a pawn like this, it just doesn't help white's position, because the king is still stuck in the center and the attack is just not going through at all. So instead, after the move knight to d2, we have the move pawn takes d5, again trying to opening up the center, take, and a knight to f6, attacking the bishop. After move pawn here, then we have the bishop takes g4. So this nice little tactic wins the pawn, because if pawn takes bishop, we capture the bishop on e4. So queen d3, and already black has a winning position, because there's no more attack and the white king is permanently stuck in the center. So we can just start running these pawns up in the middle of the board, and also we get h6 in, which traps the bishop. So we have to be careful here of queen h7 ideas. That's why we played the move queen to f5. And after queen c4, we have to watch out for d6, but we can capture the knight and trade more pieces and finally get our pawns rolling up the board. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game and gives you an idea of how to respond to such attacks with quick opening breaks. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Till then.